US 63 and just south of there, heading towards Warren. Warren, the city itself, it looks like this is going to stay just to the north of you. You are right on the edge of that tornado warning, and I'll back out and show you where you are in location to the area that we're watching here. This is continuing to move off towards the east-northeast at 45 to 50 miles per hour, and it looks like it'll be heading more towards extreme northwestern sections of Drew County, where the city of Monticello is located. Monticello, you are not under that part of the tornado warning, and then into areas of far southwestern Lincoln County. So these two structures here we are watching. This one has continued to show signs of rotation. They've been weak, but they're still at this point needing to be addressed on the screen here. So we want to make sure to mention that, but also the other storm that has continued to show signs of damage, just as energy reports have been coming in, as well as what has been looking like as far as its internal structure goes. Very well-defined rotation there as it is working its way into kind of what we call that additional appendage on Jefferson County's border there, right there along the Arkansas River. So that will be Swan Lake, Cornerstone, Rydell. And then as you head into areas, and I'll back this up a little bit more so we all know where we're located on the screen here for Arkansas County. That does include the city of Dewitt on US 165. Overall, this is the big view of what we are looking at this time here. We've got those tornado warnings, but also the severe thunderstorm warning down across areas of far southwestern Arkansas. And those storms continue to move off towards the east-northeast here at a pretty rapid pace. So we've got a lot to work with as far as storm fuel goes. We've got several more hours of thunderstorms possibly tapping into a lot of energy here. So we'll continue to watch this situation unfold as we see the cold front move in to help bring this to an end, but it'll be several more hours until that's the case. But really the biggest concentration of any type of severe weather is going to be, if I draw a line right here, all the way up from using I-30 as an example in a corridor from Texarkana to Little Rock, and then US 67, 167 to just slightly north of Jonesboro. That's the area that we'll continue to watch and monitor as thunderstorms work their way and develop in this vicinity of the natural state. But let's get back down into the closer view of this storm in Jefferson County and moving into Arkansas County. Still looking like, as you watch that rotation, you can see it when it animates here on the screen, that little bit of turn that storm is producing there as you watch those new images coming in and creating that play mode that you're seeing there. So let's go back into velocity mode and show you that right there. Keith, it looks like
tough to get confirmation.
More.
Yeah, it actually has, Hayden, and I think, folks, this is a very, very serious situation. It's going to be tough to get confirmation, at least visual confirmation of a tornado, given the heavy rain and the hour of the evening. The only thing we could possibly look to, and I'll check back in with Jeff in a second, is going to be the correlation coefficient. But we have had power outages where this storm has been. So that is at least an indication we've got strong enough straight line winds to cause damage. Also the possibility that at least radar is indicating a very, very strong possibility of a tornado that could be likely at any moment, even if it's not occurring at this point. Just now east of the Moscow area, continuing to track off to the east-northeast, that'd be crossing over US 65. Some locations along US Highway 88, Arkansas Highway 88 from Sweden over to English, over to Rydell, even Hannaberry. Get in your safe locations. I know these are smaller communities. You may have to take a few minutes to get to your storm shelter. Get to it now, because this storm looks particularly dangerous and continues to look very, very capable of producing a tornado. And even given the fact that we're looking, as Hayden pointed out, the reflectivity, or we're looking at the rain as well as the hail within the storm, you could actually see that hook echo continuing to wrap into itself and moving off to the east-northeast very quickly at least 45, maybe 50 miles per hour at this point. So folks living in the Sweden area along Arkansas Highway 88, you need to be in your safe location. That warning continues for Moscow, even though the most dangerous part of the storm is to your east. Stay in your safe location until that warning has been discontinued. Let's head back over to the weather pod with Kristen and Hayden.
All right, thank you, Keith. You got any updates from National Weather Service if they got their spotter down there yet?
I don't have word of their spotter down there just yet, but again, he is headed down towards the Pine Bluff area where he's going to try to look for any damage from either strong winds that we've obviously seen with the reports from power outages coming in, but also could be a tornado in this area as we continue to watch this storm with the strengthening velocities there. Certainly an area of concern. Meanwhile, outages in and around Pine Bluff still continue to be around 17 to 1800, so they've gone up just a couple hundred more since last time we gave you an update just a few minutes ago, indicating that this storm, regardless of whether or not there's a tornado with it, it is pretty windows and doorways. And again, with the tornado warned storm, you do want to make sure you're heading to a safe spot wherever that is.
Can we take another look back at the Lincoln County, Drew County tornado warning? We've covered extensively that very strong indication. The Lincoln County, Drew County tornado warning. We've covered extensively that very strong indication of a possible tornado up just to the south and east of Pine Bluff. Of course, moving away from Pine Bluff at this point. Still having indication of rotation now located just to the north and east of Orlando. That rotation area, although a little bit broader and of course not quite as meteorologically impressive as the one further north in Jefferson County, is going to be approaching US 63 very shortly and continuing to move off to the east. Again, this tornado warning also includes parts of Lincoln County on into northern Drew County, but does not include the city of Monticello. It does include Star City, which is further off to the north. If we can shift that map so we could see the Star City location on this particular warning. Star City, of course, north on US 425, and again, does not include the Monticello area. So right now, this circulation, the most dangerous part of this thunderstorm, possibly tornadic, approaching US 63. And another look off to the north before we check in with Jeff. Let's look back to the Jefferson County storm that has shown an impressive possible tornado couplet now moving east of the Moscow area. Looks like it's going to be passing very, very near Sweden, crossing over Arkansas Highway 88. The folks in the English area as well, all along Highway 88, you need to be in your safe location because this powerfully, possibly and quite likely tornadic thunderstorm is headed in your direction. Jeff, what are you seeing over there?
We'll still see a very tight indication of rotation with this system. It's really become very clearly defined. That rotation has become much more consolidated over the last, say, 10 to 15 minutes. We've been watching it go from kind of stretched out to more consolidated, and now it's very well organized. Not seeing a great sign of debris associated with this, but in the correlation coefficient, it is slightly lower close to that circulation, the center of that circulation, but still not conclusive at this time. The strength of the rotation has really started to pick up over the last, say, 10 to 15 minutes after it passed over US 65. This is the strength of the area of rotation. The brighter the colors, the stronger the strength. And we've seen mostly blue and some light greens, but now we see some red starting to show up here, indicating a stronger area of rotation, which right now is moving right over the Arkansas River floodplain. It's about to move over Highway 88, very close to Swan Lake Road. So if you're in that vicinity, you need to be taking your tornado precautions immediately. But we have a very strong, well-organized circulation associated with this storm moving through portions of southern Jefferson County. And it looks like, if anything, it continues to become better organized. So when we take a look at the reflectivity, you see it's gone from that little hook, and the heavy rain has now wrapped around that center of circulation, right around where that potential tornado would be. Right? And that's exactly located where we have that strongest circulation, as indicated by our velocities, which shows blue winds going more towards the radar, reds showing winds going away from the radar. When you have wind directions that shift that close to each other, that indicates that area of rotation. So you have these blue, red area together, and that's where we have that area of rotation just about moving over the Arkansas River right now. Again, we're not seeing a clear indication of debris associated with this. Right now, moving over very rural areas. A lot of farmland, a lot of agricultural land. Again, this couple of small communities in the path of this storm, and that does include Swan Lake Road area, Highway 88 on the eastern side of the Arkansas River. You can see it's the strongest is almost right on the Arkansas River right now. If I take a closer look at that, you can see the location. It's pretty much right over the Arkansas River right now, and we do have a tornado, what we call a tornado vortex signature on this system as well, indicating that we do have a well-organized area of rotation, very strong, what we call gate-to-gate shear, where we have two different pixels where we have very different wind directions. And the wind is strong in both directions, but in opposite directions. Right where you see that green and the red matching up here, that indicates exactly where that potential tornado would be. So it's very clearly defined right now with the tornado vortex signature showing up in multiple ways on multiple products, both on the radar display, the reflectivity, which shows where we have that area of rotation, is wrapped right around that center area of rotation, and on the velocity as well. Again, still not really seeing any clear indication of debris associated with it. So we may have a very strong rotational loft that's potentially not making it all the way to the ground. But with the strength of that rotation, even if it isn't all the way to the ground, it wouldn't take much at all for that rotation to drop down to the ground and cause a tornado, and possibly a strong tornado at that based on the strength of the circulation. It looks like that circulation is now moving over towards the Bayou Mito recreation area, a very, very sparsely populated area, so it would be very difficult to get any confirmation visually of a tornado in this area. But as it moves across southeast Arkansas, it could start to impact more populated areas. So we're going to stay with this as long as there is a potential tornado on the ground. Keith?
All right, thanks, Jeff. We've covered that storm extensively, and again, some indications from National Weather Service. It's an incredibly strong circulation indication, but at this point, as Jeff was mentioning, nothing to indicate debris in the air, but a tornado can occur at any time. It just means we don't have enough to actually say a tornado has been observed with the various tools that we use. Still, a very, very tight circulation. In fact, it's so tight that our color table has run out of colors for the winds that are headed away from the radar near the English area. So the circulation located very near English along Arkansas Highway 88, and it is moving off to the east-northeast, probably running across Arkansas Highway 88 near the English area, and then just north of the Rydell area in this eastward extension of Jefferson County. And then we're going to be getting into Arkansas County very shortly. So for folks living in the Hagler area along, and I believe that is Arkansas Highway 460, or U.S. Highway 165. U.S. Highway 165 that comes south through Arkansas County. That would be the location we're going to watch next once this circulation gets through that eastward extension of Jefferson County. Now, this tornado warning has been updated. Folks in the Moscow area, as well as Cornerstone, Madding, Victoria, Hooker, and Terry, you are no longer in that tornado warning. But DeWitt, you folks are. So that storm is headed in your general direction. So from Lodge Corner over to the DeWitt area, over to Hayden, I should say, down to Gillette, you still are under that tornado warning, as is a very small part of northern Deshay County, located just south of the Phillips County line, and that would not include the Stimson area, but this very small sliver of far northern parts of Deshay County. Further to the south and west, let's take a look at that other circulation that appeared to be tightening up just a little bit, and still we're a little bit further from the radar, so the data not as the quality of the data not as good, but still indications of that circulation now approaching US 63 south of the Herbine area. That is where the most dangerous part of that storm is at this point. That is moving off to the east northeast, likely to be getting into the far northwest corner of Drew County at this point. In fact, it looks like the new update may have it in the northwest part of Drew County at this point, and far southwestern parts of Lincoln County. So Cornerville over to Refs Bluff, as well as the Montego area over toward Brandon. You need to be in your safe location as that storm heads off to the east-northeast. Now crossing the county line, moving into northwest Drew County and southwest Lincoln County. Those places still under that tornado warning, as is Star City. Star City, you are still under that tornado warning. That storm's still a little bit of ways away, so you still do have time to take your emergency precautions and move to your tornado safe place. Hayden and Kristen?
All right, thank you, Keith. Actually, Kristen was looking at the chat there, and their storm spotter just went down to just south of Pine Bluff. What has he discovered so far?
Yeah, so they have some recognized damage from small tree branches that have been blown down, but there hasn't been any organization to the light wind damage. So they can't necessarily confirm that there has been damage just south of Pine Bluff from that of a tornado. Certainly some damage, however, but that doesn't mean that it's very, at this point, obvious that it is from tornado damage. So I know they're probably going to be doing some storm surveys throughout the day tomorrow as well, just to verify whether or not it was possibly from a tornado or just from strong winds. We also do have an update on outages in and around the Pine Bluff area, Jefferson County, now closer to 2,000 outages. And in fact, I was just looking mainly down towards the south and east of Pine Bluff in and around the Grady and Goulds communities. There's also some power outages in and around that area, indicating that as the storm still continues to track mainly towards the east-northeast, again, just towards the northeast of Star City. That's where we are getting some more outages coming in, likely from wind. Again, that could either be straight line winds with this strong storm with the tornado warning, or it could be the possible tornado trying to form in that area. So very important that you do seek shelter right now in and around just south of Star City, where we continue to watch that tornado warning storm, another one just off to our northeast. Hayden's go ahead and putting those warnings up on the map as we continue to check in with the National Weather Service. They are still going to continue the warning until 9 o'clock for Arkansas, Deshae, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Monroe County. They're saying that that storm continues to have a good low-level consistency of rotation. It hasn't tightened up at this time, but it's still a concern, and they are going to continue that tornado warning again until 9 o'clock.
All right, thank you, Kristen. So we have on the board here, and what you're seeing on your screen, the 3 storms that we are looking at. The 2 on the eastern side of the state are tornado warned, both respectively 9 o'clock to the north there, 8:45 is when it expires there for areas of Cleveland, Lincoln, and northern areas of Drew County. But we also want to make sure folks who just got done dealing with those thunderstorms that there's more thunderstorm activity to your southwest. We've got that stalled out boundary that's kind of washing out, that's acting as a focal point for the showers and thunderstorms that kind of just really stir up and cause trouble here as they work with a lot of fuel to become robust and severe. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15 for areas in Ouachita County back into Columbia, and also areas of Nevada County. Now they just got done with a strong thunderstorm that moved through there, so this one could be producing, and I'll go ahead and get that information up here. That's until 9:15. The hail size with this one could be quarter size up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as it moves off towards the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Now these storms are moving pretty fast, which is kind of helping lessen that concern for flash flooding, but because this setup here is allowing for storms to move right over the top of areas that just dealt with a pretty good downpour, that could cause some very localized brief high water from ditches and creeks, and if they've already been swollen from rainfall over the last several weeks here. So just be mindful if we're dealing with that to make sure that you are not going to be driving through any flooded roadways. Turn around, do not drown. We're in the middle of the night now, or middle of the evening, where we don't have any sunlight to allow us to see visually what's going on with the road there, so make sure to be careful with that. Also of a threat for tonight. But let's go ahead and go back into these 2 storms here off towards the north here and east. This is going to be the first one we go to, and that is for areas of Cleveland, Lincoln, and Drew County. Still some broad circulation as this starts to cross out of Cleveland County. It's not there just yet. And folks, right there along US 63 in Cleveland County from Rowell down to the Bradley-Cleveland County line and the community of Herbine on 133. Make sure to just hang tight. Stay in your shelter until we can get this more into Lincoln and Drew County. It'll likely just be briefly in Drew County until it heads into southwestern sections of Lincoln County near Ralph's Bluff on 425, Cornerville, Garnett, and then that is just to the south of Star City. I'm going to go ahead and get the road information on that one, as it's not appearing for us, but I want to make sure everybody knows exactly what this is. That highlighted there for Garnett. That is Arkansas 54. Just want to make sure if it did return there, that is going to be Arkansas 83. Intersection of 54 and 83. Still be of concern. We did head to the southeast of Garnett. So this circulation here, community, kind of go in and out, but it is enough to still be of concern. We did have reports from a viewer saying that they did have structure. The core of it was base reflectivity, but was definitely making some noise there as that storm and the actual structure, the core of it, was moving over that area. Base reflectivity wise, it continues to show that type of textbook look of a supercell-like nature there, so we want to continue to monitor that one there. But let's head off towards the northeast and watch this storm here, the one that we've been mentioning that has incredible rotation here. Unfortunately, don't like using those words, but it has definitely been looking at very strong rotational signature there. As far as reports and damage goes, have not really received anything, thankfully, but still radar indicated at this point, just from the base of the cloud to the surface, it may be struggling to actually make contact and be an official tornado, so that may be some good news there. But we still want to make sure to treat this as if it could do it at any moment, produce a tornado on the ground and be moving through these communities. So this is now starting to work its way through the Biomedo recreational area and then continue to move off towards areas of Arkansas County, and that's still to the west of US 165, Hayden, Gillette, Dewitt. You need to be seeking shelter at this point. Lodge Corner, Alena, Ethel, Duluth, and Tinkner, and then Weber. These are the next set of communities here that we also want to make sure to address in this. Go ahead and seek shelter away from windows and doors. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, as this storm is moving at a pretty good clip at this point off towards the east-northeast between 45 and 50 miles per hour. Keith?
Thanks, Hayden. Could you put that into motion for us so we can kind of extrapolate where that may be headed next? Based on the circulation, it's going to be coming awfully close to the DeWitt area. That's not to say you folks in Lodge Corner or the Hayden area or Gillette don't need to worry about it, but based on that motion, it's going to be coming awfully close to the DeWitt area, perhaps a little bit further off to the south. So basically everyone from Lodge Corner, just north of that circulation, Arkansas Highway 11 over to 165 where it turns south in the DeWitt area, down to Hayden, down to Gillette, that intersection 165 and Arkansas 44. Those places are next in line. That's kind of geographic or road markers for where this circulation, which has been very robust for quite a while now, continues to move. And again, no confirmation of any tornado touchdown. We're going to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baskin from Fox 16. Jeff, this circulation has been very tight for quite some time. Any indications at all that we could have a possible tornado on the ground, at least with what we've got as far as data now?
We haven't had much of a change in terms of being able to confirm whether or not the storm has produced a tornado or whether it is currently producing a tornado. One thing we've seen, even though it does still have a very well-organized circulation, it's not as strong as it was crossing over the Arkansas River. That's when that rotation really looked very powerful, and had it dropped a tornado during that point, it could have really been a very powerful tornado. So we still do have a circulation here. We still do have a risk of a tornado. And again, this looks like it is heading very close to DeWitt, as Keith was just mentioning. Likely between DeWitt and Gillette is where this time. This is still a go. So anywhere between Gillette and DeWitt, you should be taking your tornado precautions at this time. This is still a very dangerous storm, capable of producing a tornado, as well as some very heavy torrential rainfall with some flash flooding, frequent lightning and thunder, as well as some large hail, especially near the Biomedo area on the northern side of that circulating part of the storm. That's where we have that large hail, as indicated by some of the darker red and purple colors on the reflectivity, which is heading right into DeWitt right now, already getting slammed with some heavy rain and possible hail. The area of circulation just crossing over a Biomedo right now, and on this trajectory, it's going to take it right towards the DeWitt area, and have to watch that entire area really between DeWitt and Gillette, because these systems can shift around a little bit. Sometimes the area of circulation can redevelop, so you really still have to be careful. You don't want to just treat the potential track as an exact point or a line. You have to look at it more as a cone, and that would include from Gillette over towards DeWitt, with that potential for a tornado. And sometimes these storms, even if they don't produce a tornado, can produce some very powerful wind gusts, and that's going to be a concern as well, especially as we get towards a little bit later on during the evening hours, as some of these individual cells start to consolidate into more of a line and begin to accelerate. The danger, the threat from straight line winds is going to increase quite a bit. But right now, our main threat is a possibility of a tornado. And right now we have that circulation. It looks like that weakening trend has stopped for the most part, because in the last couple of scans it's at least maintained its intensity as far as the circulation, which right now very close to Bayou Mito, and it is heading very close to the DeWitt area. So if you're not taking your tornado precautions already around DeWitt, you should be taking those precautions right now. We still have that area of circulation is indicated by this area of blue and green. That indicates where the circulation is the strongest, and that track moving towards the north and east, coming very close to the DeWitt area. Looking at the correlation coefficient, which would give an idea of debris, we still really don't have a real clear indication whether or not there is debris. However, just looking at this latest scan, it looks like there was a little bit of a lowering of the correlation coefficient there, which would indicate possible debris, but it did not really become well enough defined that you could clearly say that that was debris associated with a tornado. Usually when you get that debris signature, it stands out as a very sharp drop in that, what we call that correlation coefficient, right where that strongest circulation is. And so far we haven't really seen that with that storm. But just because you don't actually see debris on radar is not a guarantee that there isn't a tornado. But if you do see that debris, well, that guarantees there's a tornado, but it doesn't necessarily work the other way around. So I just want to keep that in mind when we talk about the debris product, when you hear about correlation coefficient or debris tracker. That's what you're looking at with that product. So as we take a look at the area of circulation again, getting very close to DeWitt, likely with the next 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to be upon you in the DeWitt area. And the strength of that circulation over the last, say, 10, 15 minutes, Hayden and Kristen, really hasn't changed all that much. It's really been maintaining its intensity. It's not as strong as it was crossing over the Arkansas River, but it's still certainly strong enough that this is a very dangerous storm capable of producing a tornado.
Absolutely, Jeff. That rotation right there, when we see images like that with a velocity signature, it means at any moment that storm is capable of dropping something out of the clouds, and that would be officially called a tornado once that air column makes it contact with the ground. But I want to make sure we have really done well with coverage on that one, but we've got 2 tornado warnings, and this next one just to the south of Pine Bluff, and the tornado warning that's just to the east of Pine Bluff there, but we've got this one that has continued to move out of Cleveland County. I know that the tornado warning still has far eastern sections of Cleveland County under it, but you are in the clear Cleveland County. We are more concerned about the areas right along the Lincoln-Drew County border and just north of there, Arkansas 425. I know, Kristen, you were saying that we've got one of our excellent meteorologists here at the National Weather Service there, really trained as well as we are with these storms here, and they've been watching this one as well as we. There has been some reorganization with this storm, and it looks like that velocity signature definitely improving a little bit, unfortunately, to say the least.
Yeah, it does look like there is word that the inflow, which is what's going into the storm and giving it some of that rotation, has increased. So there's likely some more low-level rotation that's going to lead to more of a velocity couplet, which we're starting to see here on our velocity radar just south of Star City again as we continue to track this tornado warned storm. We also getting word here from the National Weather Service. So again, they have canceled the tornado warning out of Cleveland County. They are continuing it for Drew and Lincoln counties until 8:45. I did just ask for clarification of whether or not they are going to extend it and redraw a warning on this storm. I'm still waiting for them to hear back from them. So they might actually be in the works of actually getting that together, and we could have a new issuance of a tornado warning with this one.
All right, thank you, Kristen. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of what's going on. We are watching this tornado warning, that tornado warned storm that is in areas mainly in Lincoln County, but right there on the far northern section of Drew County. Does not include the city of Monticello, but Montongo, excuse me, on Arkansas or US 425. But it looks like now that we've got a new scan in, the velocity area that we're watching very closely is mainly in Lincoln County at this point. But for those that are under the tornado warning in northern Drew County, I want you to just go ahead and stay in your safe place until we can get this redrawn or see how they continue to assess the tornado warning. But this is the area area that we're watching with this storm here. And what's happened earlier is that it was just kind of reorganizing itself as it continues to move through some areas where it doesn't really allow for it to continue on a strengthening track. It's moved out of that area, and it looks like it may be able to work again on re-strengthening here. So we definitely want to watch this as it moves just to the south of Star City. I'm going to go back to reflectivity and show you Star City. You're right on the edge of where we're seeing a lot of heavy rainfall and definitely some lightning. I would be surprised if there maybe would be some small hail embedded inside of some of these darker colors that you see on the purple and dark red there. Either that or some very, very heavy rainfall with this, and definitely seeing considerable amount of lightning with this storm here as we watch it move off towards the east-northeast. But that's the area that we're watching at this time, and we're continuing to watch additional storms off towards the northeast as well. Jeff?
All right, looking at a storm a little bit farther towards the south and west. This storm that we're taking a close look at is in South Arkansas, southwest of the Camden area. A couple of things with this storm. First of all, starting to see some indication of some elevated rotation, which has been strengthening. Doesn't look like it's that low to the ground at this point. There's no tornado warning with it, but there is that broad area of circulation in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. And as we take a look a little bit farther this way, and this panel shows the maximum hail size. Right now, the potential for some hail up to about baseball size up around the Stevens area, and that area of very large hail could wind up passing just to the south of Camden. We haven't had the reports come in yet from this storm as far as large hail, but radar certainly indicating the potential for some extremely large hail associated with this storm, baseball size hail or potentially even larger. And you know, the only way that you can get the hail that big, storm has to be rotating, and when you have a rotating storm and that rotation starts to lower, of course you're going to wind up with that tornado threat. So we're going to watch this storm very carefully, especially if that rotation within the storm begins to lower. Keith?
Thanks, Jeff. Let's go back up to the Arkansas County storm. We're getting pretty close to the Dewitt area that storm is at this point. Just a new tornado warning just issued. Hayden and Kristen, why don't you read the particulars of that and come back over to me? Kristen.
Yeah, we have a new tornado warning. This is for Arkansas, Deshay, Drew, and Lincoln counties. It'll be until 9:30. We have a severe thunderstorm here, again, that we are continuing to watch. It's near Cane Creek State Park. That's about 8 miles southeast of Star City, and it is moving towards the east at 50 miles per hour.
All right, thank you, Kristen. Once again, new tornado warning just issued, a continuation of that circulation that had weakened for a while and then has shown signs of redeveloping. That circulation pretty much right along 425, just north of Monticello, just north of the Montago area. That is moving off to the east-northeast. So people living in Dumas, people living over toward Red Fork, all the way to the Mississippi River in Arkansas and central and northern parts, southern Arkansas County, central and northern parts of Deshay County. You are now under that tornado warning, and this actually tightening up quite a bit. This circulation very near the Garnett area. And Hayden, if you remind me, I think this is Arkansas Highway 54?
Yes, where Garnett's located, that's 54, and then 83, that's the junction right there that you see the T-shape.
Right, so 54 traveling from just to the east of Branchville through Garnett, and then picks back up again, goes toward the Garrett Bridge area near the junction with Highway 88. Again, it's indications that this circulation is tightening up considerably, which kind of leads us to believe that any thunderstorm entering this part of the state is going to tap in to that shear in the atmosphere. So that's why we're kind of watching that storm for you folks living near the Camden area. Severe thunderstorm warning at this point with damaging winds and some very large hail possible, but this part of the state actually appears primed for those storms to continue to rotate, become supercells, produce large hail, and even possible tornadoes. So that new tornado warning in effect, including the Garnett area, Garrett Bridge, out to Arkansas Highway 293, Reedville, Avery, over to Dumas, Omega down to Winchester, all in that tornado warning. Now let's shift north to the storm approaching the Dewitt area. That tornado, very strong indications of circulation for quite some time. Dewitt, you folks are located right here, that dog leg of 165, where it goes east and then south. That circulation very, very near the 165 and 276 junction. Can we get a little bit tighter? I'm not sure if there's any other auxiliary roads in there that we could pick pick up on. And well, the community of Mayville, very, very close. So in any case, getting that close view, 276, very near US 165, Mayville, the Hayden area. That's where the most dangerous part of the storm is approaching. In fact, the latest indications are just a little bit of a northward movement, just north of due east. So actually, this latest one coming in shows a northeast movement. So Dewitt, rush into your tornado shelters right now. That storm only minutes away. How fast is this one moving again, Kristen and Hayden?
I think it's towards the east at around 50 miles per hour.
All right, and if we just let's draw a locator, a distance measure from Dewitt down to this circulation, just to give folks an idea of how close this storm is. And this is about 3 miles to your south. So we're talking maybe 2 or 3 minutes before this storm arrives at least close to the Dewitt area. Indication right now that that circulation just north of 276, just west of 165. So very near that junction of 276 and 165. It looks like it may be turning a bit more to the left and get very, very close to the Dewitt area in the next couple of minutes. So Dewitt, everybody into your tornado shelters now. Get into your closet, get into an interior room or hallway, as many walls with you in the outside that you can, because this strong circulation is very, very near your location. And further off to the south and west, let's check that storm headed for the Camden area. Jeff, is that the storm you have pulled up right now?
No, I have the storm near Dewitt.
Let's look at that again.
I want to look at that real closely, because right where we have that circulation, started to see a lowering of the correlation coefficient. That indicates that there may be some debris. It hasn't come all the way down, but it's come down a bit, and that's exactly where that tornado would be based on the velocity. And I'm a little bit concerned that there may be a tornado associated with this as it's passing. It looks like that circulation coming right through about the south side of Dewitt right now. So again, that blue area, where we see that blue and the red, that's where we have that strongest circulation right now. We'll widen back out a bit again, and we'll go to the map down here, which shows you where the correlation coefficient, and again, that can give you an idea of potential debris associated with the storm. And we've seen that somewhat lowering there. Again, it doesn't stand out enough that it's conclusive, but I'd be concerned to see that lowering exactly where that circulation is, especially given the structure of the storm and the fact that it's located exactly where we have that rotation, just on the south side of Dewitt. That strongest circulation, you can see that here. This is our rotation tracker coming right on the south side of Dewitt, right with the storm. It's not showing up necessarily so much in the reflectivity because it's completely rain wrapped. That circulation is now completely rain wrapped at this point. And that would mean, especially the combination of it getting dark outside and being completely rain wrapped, if there is a tornado, you're most likely not going to be able to see it at all. You're going to hear it first, and it's going to be very close to you. So you don't want to go out there and try to get firsthand confirmation that there's a tornado, because if you do, you're probably not going to have time to get into your safe place. Again, very strong indication of circulation right now, just south of Dewitt, just right on the south side of Dewitt. And it looks like in that last scan, we have a very, very well-defined couplet there. And you see where that green and the red come together? That is where we have that, what I'd call it a likely tornado at this point. And based on the correlation coefficient, I don't see a clear indication of debris at this point, but the rotation alone is enough to really give you an idea that there's a high likelihood that the storm is about to produce a tornado, if it isn't producing a tornado already. Hayden and Kristen?
Thanks, Jeff. I want to actually bring it over to Kristen because we've been monitoring the power outage situation. It looks like there's some indication there.
Yeah, just where Jeff was mentioning, just towards the southwest of Dewitt, we do have reports of power outages coming through with Entergy. It looks like about 300 people are left without power in that area, which again may be the tornado possibly in that area causing some damage. And if it's not a tornado, it's very strong winds that obviously are capable of producing damage. So everyone in this area, again, we want to stress the importance of in and around Dewitt, DeWitt, just towards the south-southwest, you do want to seek shelter immediately. Head to those lower innermost levels of your rooms and make sure you are seeking shelter. Again, we also have confirmation coming in from the National Weather Service. They are watching that very closely. We can't necessarily confirm any debris on the radar, but there is a very intense structure of the storm system, and it's likely that there is a tornado here. So especially with those power outages coming in, you just definitely do want to make sure you're in your safe spot. Keith?
All right, thank you, Kristen. Hayden, let's get really, really tight on DeWitt and the south side. I know there's probably a lot of people living in that community. Let's go in even a little bit more to see if we can get other rows to pop up. This is a very close shot of where that likely tornado, we'll say where the tornado would likely be. If it is on the ground, it very well may be. There are strong indications, but nothing, at least with our data or spotters, that would confirm it. DeWitt Airport Road, Ferguson Road, Arkansas Highway, I should say U.S. Highway 165, Thigpen Road, that's where that circulation is headed. Sunnyside Road, further off to the north and west. Let's just shift it up a little bit, Hayden, so I can see this part of the map. It looks like that circulation is going to be just barely to the east of Arkansas Highway 1. This is downtown DeWitt. That circulation very, very close to you folks in downtown DeWitt. But if you live from DeWitt and especially to the south and east or east, you need to be in your safe location because of this very strong indication of a tornado. East 13th Street eastward out to Thigpen Road, Burgermaster Road as well. These are some locations in the path of that circulation. And let's slide it back to the south. As I mentioned, DeWitt Airport Road and the southward extension of Ferguson Road from DeWitt Airport Road, a little bit more to the south, and we will take a look. Let's go a little bit more to the south, Hayden. Billy James Road, that circulation likely located right in this area near DeWitt Airport Road, Thigpen Road, and Ferguson Road, near that location. There's a lot of data. We're very close in on that, but that is the most likely location where the possible tornado is located. So for you folks living anywhere from Billy James Road, DeWitt Airport Road, Ferguson Road, Thigpen Road, and points to the east and northeast over to Sunnyside Road, Charles Altered Road as well, all the way up to Sunnyside and points to the north, and the Heen, I think it's the Hearn Cemetery Lane, that area as well, out to Eastham Road. Those locations are where the circulation is and where it's headed to. And again, just bypassing at least the strongest part of the circulation, just bypassing downtown DeWitt. Hayden, if we could get up to DeWitt a little bit more, you could see DeWitt located just on the northwestern side of where that circulation is strongest, right in this location, and that would be just off to the east and southeast of Arkansas Highway 1. Stay in your safe location, you folks in DeWitt, and everybody along 165 and points off to the east. Very dangerous storm, and if not producing a tornado, likely producing damaging winds that could cause injuries to property and people. Kristen and Hayden?
We want to give you an update. We do have confirmation now coming from the National Weather Service that there is an observed tornado. So we do have confirmation that there is a tornado, again, just south of DeWitt. It is moving towards the east. We do have storm spotters in the area who have gotten their eyes on this tornado, and we are continuing to see an increase in the couplet on velocity, which Hayden is currently showing you right now. Keith?
All right, Kristen, you may notice there's a new darker box in there. This darker box is where we have a tornado that is observed or confirmed on the ground. And that part of the tornado warning includes DeWitt over to Duluth, over to Ethel and the Van area. That part of the tornado warning is where there is confirmation of a tornado on the ground at this point. And this has been giving us indications, at least for the last 45 minutes, of very, very strong circulation. Again, let's get in really, really tight, Hayden, so we could see some of the roads in this area. Again, we're getting a lot of pixelized data, but again, the circulation located in this broad area. Can't pinpoint exactly where that tornado may be within that circulation area, but certainly very close to Carl Don Road, Charles Alter Road, Sunnyside Road, Eastham Road, and along Sunnyside Lane to the east of Eastham Road. This is where that circulation is right now, and at this point, that confirmed tornado tornado. Get into your safe location, stay there until this storm has passed, and make sure you don't go out and try to look for this, because it's nighttime, it's raining very hard, and it's very difficult to see nighttime tornadoes. We have one confirmed by a spotter who's come up from the backside of the storm in a safe manner. If you're ahead of this storm, you don't want to be going out and looking for it. Get into your tornado shelter now and stay there until this storm has passed. Kristen and Hayden, any new information coming over from you?
The tornado warning has been canceled for Drew County, but it is going to continue for Arkansas, Deshay, and Lincoln until 9:30. Again, there is that storm that is capable of producing that tornado in that area. And of course, we are still monitoring the confirmation of a large and dangerous tornado just south of Dewitt that is continuing to also move towards the east.
And also, Kristen, this particular storm, the one further off to the south in eastern parts of Lincoln County, now east of 425, east of Star City, still showing signs that it is a pretty tight circulation. And, you know, we had talked about that a few minutes ago. Thunderstorms traveling through this part of the state with the atmosphere so primed up are becoming supercellular very, very quickly. You can see that classic hook echo associated with it. Some very heavy rain and possibly some very large hail possible near the Avery area along Arkansas 293. Garrett Bridge, you're very close to where that circulation is. This is kind of that hook echo. You would expect to find the tornado somewhere in this area at the tip of that hook, and that is moving off toward Arkansas 54 and eventually going to get very close to US 65 from Reedville over to Dumas over toward Omega. And can we put that back into motion, Hayden, the forward motion, just to kind of get an idea of where that may be going? And it looks like it's continuing to head off to the east-northeast. So Reedville, it's going to be very close to your location in a very short period of time, just perhaps a couple of minutes. Dumas, you're going to be on the south side of the most dangerous part of the storm, but stay in your safe location, because as we've seen all evening, these storms can actually change direction, and just changing by a mile or so either way could bring it very, very close to your location. Again, the tightest part of that circulation, that very bright return we're seeing, very close to 293 and 54. That is where the most dangerous part of the storm is, where the possible tornado is located.